Well, I've been fortunate. I'm not lived that far away, so I've had a couple of previous tours. But the big one for me is what happens when you get on the ice, because I mean this place is fantastic and it's got all of the highest quality equipment that you can find for a professional sports team. But it's the ice. At the end of the day, that's the key piece. And the ice was hard, so we went 30 minutes up and down, and that's almost the threshold for most sheets of ice with an NHL team, and it was ready for more. Like then that's the key one. So if the ice can be as consistent as it was today, uh, it, a better way to put it, it's miles better than could have hoped. Haven't skated on too many sheets of ice that hard in the first skate, so it was good.
How much of a selling point do you think it's going to be come summertime when you tell guys that people take golf carts and e-bikes to work here in December?
Well, there's two pieces to that, right? So you want to play and you want to win. That has to be priority one. And then you want to play and you an opportunity to enjoy your life. And boy, we've got them both. This setup is going to be as good as there is in the league. And then when you can have some lifestyle pieces to it that go well, yeah, it's an exciting day for us. It really is.
Did you see a bunch of your players zipping through your neighborhood this morning?
No, I didn't. I get out. It was still dark when I got here, but I walked, and that's a nice change for me. So by the time I leave the house till I get the first cup of coffee at the big rink or the ice stand, it's usually about an hour. I usually get there just after 6, so it takes me about an hour to get there. And then today, I didn't make a coffee at home because the coffee here's better, so I was out the door pretty quick.
8 minutes.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
In terms of making the players better, what is the proximity? I mean, obviously, all the guys now, if they want to work out, if they want to skate on an off day or something, they're 5 minutes away. They can just pop over.
Well, there is something to what I just said about rest, and I'm not complaining about it. Right, when you're in any major city, I mean, when I worked in Toronto, it was somewhere between 45 minutes and 3 hours, depending on the traffic, and that's one way. So, but for a big bulk of our guys that are in the area now, you get to the rink right a little bit quicker. You want to stay here. Just all the facilities create an environment of connections, because the way it's laid out, I know the weight room's down there, but everything else is one central area. So the connections, that the number of times they cross paths and talk to each other is important for the fabric of the team. And then having the facilities here, I think what you see is guys now, they come back earlier in the summer, or they stay longer. Or like we have some players, they'll stay straight through. Why wouldn't you stay here? If you live in this kind of area, you've got a world-class facility, you got great ice, you got a park-like setting, so you can be outside, you can train in the summer on the tracks, you can on the fields, right? You got AstroTurf, you got grass, you got everything you could possibly need to push yourself to be a great athlete, and it's all here.
Obviously, it's harder during the season, but as a coach, do the wheels start turning a little bit when you talk about the unique experience you can give the guys, like for practice, maybe in training camp, you can do a lot more outside.
So that's especially for the performance guys, right? That your warm-ups can be different. You can get more sunlight on them. There's just a whole bunch of things that you can do to break up the grind of the NHL year, and the players are going to love that, right? It's exciting to be a player here for these guys now. It's kind of like the future of our program. It's a big kickoff to it.
The plan eventually is obviously to have fans at some practices, I'm sure.
I have no problem with fans that open. It's for me that they're always open, though, to the point that even on the 1 or 2 days you really don't want kids in the building, right? You still leave it open, and you just be able to. I do all my swearing in here, so no, the practices are always open. I ask people that come not to videotape, and then playoffs is a little bit different animal because we're not checking ID on everybody, and you don't want the other team watching your power play before that. But during the regular season, come on down. The acoustics are great, at least for me on the ice. Like, that's another major thing, because if you've been in buildings and you've probably experienced this where if you haven't coached, I guess you have, but you're yelling at somebody and this person here can't hear you. Like, the acoustics are fantastic. So I tried that out, right? Jamie was skating around. I said, hey, Jamie, and I just as loud until he heard me, right? It was really good. The acoustics are good. It's a great layout. Got a little natural light coming in. Yeah, but the building's always open for me. Now, Addie will be able to tell you whether that's true of security. I don't know if they keep the building open every day because they need to have people here, and then there's the cleaning and all the stuff that happens. So insofar as the building is open, it's open for the Florida Panthers.
I know it's just fortuitous timing that today's the day.
Mm-hmm.
But for a team that probably needs a little jolt of something good right now, how nice of a perk is it to have this little?
Yeah, really good. Really good. At first, you're grumbly after the game. You're kind of going, I wish we weren't, so we could be But this was good today because they need to sometimes see the why that we got to get better and get harder because you want to be a part of it. Everybody wants to be a part of it. This is a great place to play, and well, we're still growing. We're still learning how to do that.
Well, Coach, kind of along those lines, the still growing part. You said yesterday we either win or we learn.
Yeah.
As challenging as maybe this kind of rough patch has been, big picture, how important do you think it will be for shaping the team that you want to be fielding by the end of the season and heading into a playoff style of hockey?
Your adversity for every single team comes, for the most part, and you hope that you get some. So we think that it took us 4 or 5 months to get to hard last year, to really truly how to compete on pucks over and over again, and then you got to do it again, right? Just because you learned it doesn't mean you have to relearn those things. So the obvious thing is if we're given the line as many times as we did, so I had 15 of them, which is a big number for us, especially with the way we play. There's a reason for it, right? And then now there's a myriad of reasons, but there's a general theme, and then we got to deal with that. We got to get that taken care of. It's so much easier to do when it's not casually slipping into your game. That was big time. So having that adversity and having it as direct is really, really important. Get them refocused, and then we have to reinvent not how we play. Reinvest, I guess, possibly is a better word. The players that were here last year have to get back to it. The new guys got to figure out exactly what we're talking about, and then we'll be all right.
Paul Matthews said that he hasn't forgotten what happened against the Knights.
Yeah.
Is it anything different when you guys face it for the first time since then?
For sure it is. They beat you, and they beat you at the end, which is painful. But you saw the same thing, the same talk about from Toronto and Carolina. The team that beats you in the playoffs, it hurts, right? So you'll have a focus for that for sure.
When you talk about today being a jolt for your team, perhaps,
Yeah.
can Knights come into town be similar?
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's not a bad thing to have them in. That'll certainly draw your attention. For me, still, because we haven't. When you look at each side, we haven't seen the Rangers. We're going to see them this week, and we haven't seen Vegas this year. Those the numbers say that's the 2 best teams in the league. So that you got to be on your toes if you're going to beat them, right? We're not trying to prove that we're a better team than anybody else. We don't have to be a more talented team. We weren't really in any of the rounds that we played last year, but you can be harder, and you got to work at that. That's not, hey, we'll play hard today. It's got to happen every day.
I was talking to Aaron Ekblad, and he said the change in his game was more so from a buy-in to your system he had in January rather than any of the injuries kind of limiting him. I mean,
Yeah.
what did you see from that evolution starting in January where he kind of bought in and started to more focus on the defensive parts he can contribute to your system?
Yeah. He's a big, long, strong skating man that had a focus of offense in his life, understandably, because he's gifted at it. He could generate points. But you can take all of the attributes that make you a good offensive player and apply them to be a real good defensive player without costing you. And it would be lots of coaches that would argue you'll get more, right? You'll produce more. But he can close gaps. And in the playoffs, he got to play in a real physical game that he's also capable. Even as banged up as he was still closing hard and playing physical in the corners. The regular season game is different than the playoff game. We all understand that. You can't play 82 in that kind of intense environment. The game's just not played like that. But he's far more physical and more intense right now than he was last year at this time.
You finally had a full skate today with all your players.
Yeah.
Tom, Jonah both come back.
Yeah.
Are they good for tomorrow?
I'm going to say they should be, but we'll bring an extra. The 4 that's not playing and the D that's not playing will both come to the rink tomorrow at game time. We're not going to skate in the morning because we had guys leaving the rink last night that we thought, oh no, they're getting sick too, but they came back and said no, they're fine. So it's been a really unusual thing. Guys show early symptoms and then they're 100% fine, and then there's guys like Lundell, Gadjevich who it's cost us games. So you'd like to think by the end of December, maybe early January, you kind of get past the flu season. But we've felt it.
Will jump in the lineup. I mean, he looked pretty good on that.
Fast. He's fast. What you want on that kind of 4th line is you want an expectation of a predictable game in a certain style. So everybody can be different, right? We don't want the ball to be the same. But exactly what it is that you do, you need to be able to do every single night. And if you can do that, then we'll understand your game, we'll know who to play you with, and we'll certainly know who to play you against. And he's done that. And so I'm pulling for him. He's also shown, like in practice today with Lomberg and Stenlund, it was a good line. They created some things, they skated, they drove the pace. So you're sitting there, well, maybe there's something there. We haven't had the chance to really play those guys together yet, so we're looking forward to seeing that.
Would Lundell go back to third
Yeah,
line?
correct.
Any other questions?
All right, enjoy your seats, everybody. See you here tomorrow.